Well, the city of Dallas is broke. Sort of. I'm James Parker. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. The theme of today's show is going to come up over and over again, unless I'm talking about the party that's happening tonight, because there is a big party that's happening tonight. The WBAP is having the birthday party for America, turning 250. Come on out tonight. More about that later. But let's start with this Dallas thing, because a lot of people have noticed exactly what I noticed the first time I saw this headline. You probably thought something similar too. So the storyline, here it is. From WFAA, the city of Dallas has to have furloughs now. They're going to send over 4,000 city workers, like 4,200 something. And they've got to choose within the next few months 3 days to take off without pay. So they're all just taking a hit. And I know 3 days without pay, whoop-de-doo, it's just like a vacation. No, that's like $1,000 for these families. How do I know? Well, sometimes I have to get unpaid furloughs too, just for different reasons. But WFAA has the report.
Dallas city workers will be required to take at least 3 days off without pay over the next few months amid a $30 million budget shortfall. There are some exceptions, including first responders and 911 dispatch. The city manager says this is not ideal, but taking a few days without pay will protect jobs in the end. City council members' reactions are mixed. Dallas is already under a hiring freeze for non-uniformed employees.
So things are so bad. We are so out of money. We are $30 million underwater. But we have money to expand Clyde Warren Park. Now, they say this is a $200 million project, and it's a mix of private and public funding. I didn't quite get what the mix was. Unless it's like $4 coming from the city of Dallas, this is insanity. This is, and I don't mean to be mean, like I'm not trying to like insult anybody, but this is really stupid. We're 30 million in the hole. Oh, you know what we need to do? We need to go expand this park over here. What are you spending on this? Millions? 100 million? Are you spending half of it? So this report, I didn't go pull this out of the archives from 6 months ago. This was 2 days ago. The city of Dallas 2 days ago knew they had a $30 million shortfall. They approved this new project. And I don't know how much of it's coming out of your butt, but some of it is.
The Mavs, Stars, AT&T, we've talked about a lot of what is leaving downtown Dallas, but today, a massive new investment in the area, and it revolves around one of the most unique features, its first deck park over a freeway. Chris Sadeghi live at Clyde Warren, where city leaders just announced a major expansion of the park. Hi, Chris.
Hello, Kara. And today's announcement wasn't just about revealing the planned improvements here to Clyde Warren Park, but also recognizing the importance of this park to the urban core of Dallas. Here are the renderings of the planned 1.7-acre expansion that will happen on the west end of Woodall Rogers. It will include a 2-story pavilion that can host indoor events and also have a rooftop terrace. The expansion also included a 37,000 square foot lawn that can be transformed into an ice rink during winter months. With so much discussion about what's leaving downtown, Mayor Eric Johnson says the expansion of the park is projected to generate $3.5 billion in property value to the urban core over the next decade. It does that by serving as a bridge over the highway that used to only serve as a barrier.
It's another deliberate and strategic investment in our city's future. By expanding this park, we're going to be strengthening our city center, driving economic growth that will generate hundreds of millions in additional tax revenue over time.
And Clyde Warren Park is a private-public partnership, so most of the funds do come from private donations. The expansion is expected to begin construction by the end of the year and take approximately 2 years to complete.
Yeah, you heard that right. We got big money for a park, no money for city workers. And if Clyde Warren Park, if this new project, this new upgrade was a guaranteed winning investment, notice the just totally suspicious use of the word investment there. If it was a guaranteed winning investment, the private sector would do it on its own. The city wouldn't have to put up one dime. In fact, they would be paying the city for permits. But no, it's not a guaranteed winning investment. I mean, it might make money, it might not, but the record of public-private partnerships has been absolutely dismal. And that's a bold thing for city leaders to say. Now, I'm not beating up Chris Sadeghi. He's actually maybe my favorite reporter over at WFAA. He's absolutely fantastic. You know why? I don't even know what he is. I don't mean like he's racially ambiguous. That's not what I'm talking about. I don't know if he's a lefty or a righty or whatever. That is one of the biggest compliments you can give a reporter here. But he was quoting city leaders as saying, "Yeah, this is very important. Clyde Warren Park has been great for downtown. It's important to the success of downtown." The success of downtown, since we built Clyde Warren Park and opened it up, aren't companies leaving in droves? What are we missing here? Did the Mavs and Stars not know about Clyde Warren Park? You know, it's only like 6 blocks away from where we're sitting right now, and I'm at the American Airlines Center. What about AT&T? Did they not know that Austin Park was there? Because they just moved off to Frisco or Plano. You had the big bank that's leaving. You have all kinds of problems. And you're going to say Clyde Warren is important to the success of downtown? If downtown is suffering and declining, and it is, we have the second highest vacancy of any major metropolitan core in all of America. That's an indictment of Clyde Warren Park. We spent $100 million making the thing to begin with. And all we've seen is people leave downtown in droves. And then here's another weird part. For our Team Blue neighbors, hey, maybe you're on Team Blue. I know I have some Democrat sympathetic people who listen to the show. Isn't this taking money from the poorest among us and giving it to millionaires and billionaires? Isn't this wealth redistribution in the least progressive way possible? Isn't this like some guy who's barely getting by? He just got evicted from his apartment. He's sleeping on a buddy's couch. He goes to a business. He has to buy something. He has to pay a little bit of tax on top of that. You're taking that money and you're giving it to some guy who's worth $160 million so he can go in splitsies with the city on a pavilion. And if it loses money, he lost your money, not his. What is going on? Here's another crazy story. We don't have money for our workers, for the people who actually run this city. By the way, 4,200 sounds like way too many employees. Different topic for a different day. We do have money, though, to gay up the library.
Thank you, Cassie. And the city of Dallas unveiled the new rainbow-colored steps outside the Oaklawn Public Library. They're in response to Governor Greg Abbott's order for cities to remove political designs from Texas roads or lose federal transportation funds. Neighbors say they wanted to show their support for the LGBTQ plus community.
I want you to understand that this is not just about having these steps outside of this library, but it was putting the throttle down to send a message not only to Austin, but to you.
The steps match those outside Oaklawn United Methodist Church, which were also painted in response to the governor's order.
And you know this is all political. The rainbow flag is not about gay anything anymore. It is an arm of the Democrat Party. It is a political flag now. And so now we have your taxpayer money being spent to promote politics that you might not even agree with. But again, go back to today's theme. Capitalism is better than socialism. The private sector is better than government control. That includes libraries. You know what I want to do? I don't want to go take the rainbow steps and paint over them. I don't want them to take them off. I want to end public libraries. If we didn't have public libraries, I wouldn't care what they did to their steps. If they did it with their own money, whoop-de-doo. So can we just stay on this theme a little bit? Your thoughts. Dallas has to furlough 4,200 city workers. 4,200 families are going to get a $1,000 pay cut because we're so broke. But we have money for this other stupid stuff. Make that make sense. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, does this even count as an investment? For these other investments, do you ever get a check? I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, the city of Dallas is broke, sort of. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Yes, broken. Very good, Garrett. Don't forget the WBAP morning show. They're going to be on whenever you wake up until Matlock takes over at 9. Funny guys. But today's headlines just seem to be just from two different worlds, but it's from the same city. The headline this morning, actually I saw it last night, $200 million, air quote, investment goes into Clyde Warren Park. At the same time, 4,200 city workers are going to have to take 3 days of unpaid furlough because we are $30 million in debt. Which is it? And so the theme here is capitalism is better than socialism. If you want a bigger park or if you want to expand the park, just let the private sector do it. If they're not willing to do it with their own money, then it's not a good investment and we shouldn't be in it. People are going to complain about the steps of the Oaklawn Library being painted rainbow. Well, that wouldn't be a problem if it wasn't a public library, now would it? You make it a private library, you can paint the whole damn thing rainbow and no one can say anything to you. But it is morally wrong, whether you agree with it or not, to take money from people who don't agree with your political messaging and then through government, through the public library system, paint political messaging on the public library. That's completely unethical. That's wrong. And I'm not saying we shouldn't paint libraries rainbows. I'm saying we shouldn't have public libraries. That problem is created with the public library. And it goes to the data centers too. Some people think, well, they shouldn't build a data center there. Well, who should control it? Well, the government should control. There needs to be sensible regulations. Okay, so the government is going to tell you when and where, how big, how much electricity, how much water this data center is going to do. Do they know better than the people who build data centers? Is government control of industry really better than private control of industry? And so for so many of the things that come up on the show as of late, including today, if we would just stick with the basic premise that it made America great to begin with, capitalism is better than socialism, the private sector is better than government control, that would fix our schools, that would fix our libraries, that would fix our healthcare system, that would fix our economic policies, that would get rid of these crazy socialist candidates, fix the data center issue too. Ken in Arlington, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
Hey, wouldn't they have the money if they didn't just spend millions of dollars on that stupid survey of destroy City Hall or whatever the case was?
Oh my God, that's a great one to bring up too. Yeah. So I think what you're talking about from two. He hung up. Oh no, he's still there.
No, I'm there.
Yeah. So what was that? A week ago, they just voted. Maybe it was 2 weeks ago to spend $2 million for a team to go study possible locations for the relocation of City Hall. We haven't even agreed to tear the thing down. Why does that cost $2 million? If you have a $30 million budget shortfall, where do you get the $2 million to come up with that? That's a great point. I'm glad you called in, Ken. What else did I miss?
Well, I mean, they're promoting this rainbow issue thing, and I think that is an oxymoron because thousands of Muslims are moving to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. What do Muslims do? Dallas has a lot of tall buildings.
Whoa. Okay. Well, I mean, I see where you're going with that, but that is a weird juxtaposition. These people subjugate women.
Yeah.
They subjugate women. They subjugate gays. They persecute religious and ethnic minorities. But yeah, let's move them all in here. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah. I mean, you got all these skyscrapers and everything else, and then you just spent millions of dollars to do the stupid survey where the workers would be getting a paycheck.
Man, that's a good one. Well, thanks for calling in. You made the show better. That's Ken in Arlington. Clyde Warren is important to the success of downtown. Oh, really? Downtown seems to be getting kicked in the teeth ever since that park went up. In fact, if you wanted to be a little more fair, you could say Clyde Warren may have been the death knell of downtown. I don't know if the two are necessarily connected, but they certainly correlate. I'm not saying it's causation, but there is correlation. So yeah, and we need to have this serious talk about socialism here because I am shocked at how many of these crazy people who are saying crazy socialist things keep getting reelected around here. And well, not around here, but like another one was elected in, where was this one? This is in Denver, it's somewhere in Colorado. Her name's Milat Kuros, and yesterday she just won a primary. She's a Democrat Socialist of America. She hates America and thinks 9/11 is America's fault. Well, she had tweeted that, and she was asked about that in a recent interview, and she still didn't even clean it up then.
Do you believe that the 9/11 terrorist attacks on America were the inevitable consequence of American foreign policy?
Inevitable in the sense that we destabilized a lot of the Middle East, that forced people to believe that another act of violence was the only response. And again, just like I said before, our responsibility is to getting rid of those conditions that lead to violence in the first place.
Yeah, they had no choice. The only response was to kill 3,000 Americans and blow up the World Trade Center and attack the Pentagon. And okay, this lady's probably going to be in Congress about this time next year. Good luck with all that. Coming up next, though, there is a little bit of pushback against the Democrat Socialists of America. Some of it's coming from Team Blue, but I'm really interested in the people who have converted, and former liberals are really sounding the warning bell. You'll hear some of that next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, homeowners in North Texas. It has been a bad year for your roof. There was a lot of storms. There was a lot of rain. There was a lot of wind. There was a lot of hell. A lot of us got hell. I got a little bit of hell over in Bug Tussle. And, sometimes you don't think the wind. How's the wind hurt it? Well, if the wind blows a tree branch and bangs into your roof and it causes just a tiny little crack, there could be water that's seeping through right now. And if you don't catch it, it can cause huge damage. It can get between your drywall. It can cause you to have to just reframe your house pretty much. You can get black mold issues. So better safe than sorry. Go to blueribbondfw.com. Have John come out, check out your roof. Why? Because it doesn't cost anything. And if your roof is fine, no worries. We just have a nice baseline set for next time. If you do have an issue, if there is problems, they will help you every step of the way. Not only will you get a great roof, great shingles, and great craftsmanship, the more important part is they'll help you with that pain in the neck insurance claim. So go to blueribbondfw.com. Well, fiscal insanity just isn't for New York anymore. I'm James Parker. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. A lot of people are having fun making fun of Mom Donnie because, you know, they have a big budget deficit in New York City and they're doing all these programs and this dumb spending projects. New York City! Bro, you don't have to go all the way to New York City to look at just terrible economic policy. All you got to do is go downtown. Dallas has among the worst. The theme for today's show, capitalism is better than socialism. Free markets are better than government. And we need to have a serious talk about this because it's starting to kind of get out of control here. Dallas has to furlough 4,200 workers for 3 unpaid days in the next few months. That means 4,200 families are going to get a $1,000 pay cut around because of the bad decisions. Now you're not just affecting the politicians and the people who are in positions of power. You're affecting just regular old families. Like a janitor, like the guy who does security in the parking garage. Oh, like all these people have to take furloughs. Yep. So I've been making a lot of fun of New York for their weird projects, but now we just announced $200 million is going to be invested. Total misuse of the word. It's going to be blown on expanding Clyde Warren Park, and they have money to paint the library with gay steps. So I don't know where the lack of sanity, like, are these people, are they doing whippets in City Hall? You know, where you get like the can of whipped cream, but instead of using it, you just go and suck it all in, and then you kind of space out for a minute. I don't know. That was a good idea when I was 18. Maybe they're doing it now. Maybe they're on drugs. Andrew in Blue Ridge. You're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP.
Hey, how about the money they spent on looking for a place for the ladies basketball and all the other money they throw away on sports that don't make money?
God, I love that one too.
I mean, I thought.
So yeah, and I think the number was they were doing $75 million to build a practice facility for the WNBA team, as if they need their own WNBA specific facility. We don't already own like 100 gyms.
I would rather that watch a high school basketball game than them any day. The play is so much better.
Well, I don't want to beat up on the women because we all know that men are better. Just go look at every Olympic record in every sport every year it's ever been done. We know they're better. I don't mind the women having their own little set aside because, you know, if women want to be athletes when they grow up and there's a market for it, that's fine. Yeah, but when it costs me money, now we have a problem. When it costs Andrew and Blue Ridge money, now it is my problem. Now, we have to furlough city workers, but we have $75 million for a practice facility for the WNBA. That's another great point. Thank you very much.
All right, appreciate it.
You know what, Garrett? You're the producer. Aren't you supposed to be coming up with some of this? Just throwing that out there. Mark in Plano, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
Hey, do we have any way of figuring out how do we follow the money with this stuff here when they're spending $200 million on where all that money's being given to for various contractors, subcontractors, and advisors and whatnot?
I mean, it's
going to some shady pockets.
Of course. Dude, that's what's going on with the convention center right now. That's what goes on with almost every single public project of any great size.
Yep.
And
you nailed it, brother.
Well, you know, we don't have this problem as bad in small towns because the projects aren't as big. The projects aren't like, well, where did all this money go? And they'll just send you a PDF that's 1,000 pages with a whole bunch of spreadsheets in it, and you got to go nail it down. But yeah, no, this money is going to be
layers and layers and layers of people who you've got to try and trace down. And hey, keep in mind, we're a blue-run city, the Dallas City Blues.
Yeah, well, look, that's why they are always looking for an excuse to spend more money. And even when they're out of money, they're like, well, we got to do some bonds. We've got to pass the biggest bond in Dallas city history, or we're not going to have police or firemen. Well, we can have a gay public library. We can have a practice facility for women in the WNBA. We can expand Clyde Warren Park like the city needs that. So there is no double standard.
Pockets got to get lined.
Yep. Yeah, and they're going to get lined because no one fights this. Like, they put this on the news like it's a good thing. And I'm not beating up WFAA, and Chris Sadeghi wasn't I don't want anyone to think I'm criticizing him, but you go look at like the Dallas Morning News, you go look at all the TV stations, you look at so many people out there that are replying to this. They think every one of these ideas is a good idea. Yeah, we need a new stadium. Oh yeah, we could spend and we could keep the stars here in downtown.
That's the rhetoric and propaganda.
But does not everyone see the pattern emerging for your entire life? If these investments, and thank you very much for your call, Mark and Plano, if these investments were profitable, the private sector would do them anyway. If it's something that's like a park or a bridge or convention center or whatever, and it really would revitalize downtown, wouldn't downtown be revitalized already? They just keep doing that. And this is something they do in Buck Tussle, or in one of the towns of the collective Buck Tussle. Term I use is Tyler. And they're on the same just madness. We've got to revitalize downtown. We've got to revitalize the town square. Why? My entire life, I have seen, they did like a big plan in like 1985 where we got a 10-year plan that's going to revitalize downtown. And then in the 90s, they did another one. In 2001, they did another one. They did another one in 2012. And then they just keep coming up with plans to revitalize them. It's with the first 28 projects didn't work. Why is Project 29 going to all of a sudden be the magic good idea that revitalizes downtown? In fact, the more you people try and revitalize downtown, the worse it gets. Maybe you should just butt out. Good James, Fort Worth. You're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP.
Hey, thank you for taking my call. I wanted to call and agree and disagree with you.
Sure.
I agree. Waste of money, in certain ways. But with what I do for a living, I'm in IT. Every year I have to submit my budget, and it's my IT budget. And every department has their own budget. And so parks, that's a budget. Buildings, infrastructure, that's a budget. I don't really think, from a furlough standpoint, it definitely sucks for those people, but it's not one of those where it's just money is money. Each has its own pocket on things.
Right, but we could move it around and not have to furlough these guys.
So if I move my money from my budget this year, I don't get it next year because I did not use it all. That's an unfortunate way that business works, and city is a lot more like business.
Okay, so what's your solution then? How do we stop this furlough situation?
Better planning ahead.
No. See, look, I'm not saying I like your angle on that, but in the future, like the dollars that we had that should have gone to the budget for paying these now going to be furloughed workers, those are the buckets that should have been filled up first before we got to $75 million for a practice facility, before we got to $2 million to study move in City Hall, before we do all these other spending projects. Shouldn't that bucket be filled up first?
No, I agree. And what I'm saying is that the person who is responsible for that, ensuring that their team, their department is going to be funded fully throughout the year, if they did not manage that ahead of time to where they're now having to pull people and furlough people, there's a person responsible. The person who's responsible for the budget on, a park, if they're still within their budget, why are they getting things taken from them when somebody else mismanaged it on a different side?
Well, they're getting things taken from them because somebody mismanaged it on the other side. You just answered your own question. Okay, let's say I have a $2,000 a month mortgage payment, but I only budgeted $1,500 a month. If I take that extra $500 out of my entertainment budget, I'm not screwing over my entertainment budget. My entertainment budget was too big to begin with, and my mortgage budget was too small to begin with. So there's no injustice that's being done there. The money is going to the most important priorities first, for us, for the city, fire, roads, police, the jails, things like that. And if you're not taking care of that first, and you're taking care of this other frivolous stuff like painting rainbows on libraries, then we still have a huge problem, and it does have everything to do with management, sure, but we should still move that budget around. All right, I'm out of time here. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Mayor Mamdani up in New York City, he had a similar issue that he claims he just fixed this week. You'll hear it's a paragraph full of lies coming up next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. All right, Dallas has a $30 million budget shortfall. How can they fix it? I'm James Parker, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Let's look at what they did up in New York City. New York City! They've got an openly socialist mayor, but his tweet is getting a lot of reaction here. So this is from yesterday at 7:43 p.m. Mayor Zoran Mamdani tweeted, "In January, our administration inherited a $12 billion budget deficit, a fiscal crisis greater than the Great Recession. Today, I'm proud to announce that our balanced budget has cleared the final step and passed the New York City Council. We balanced the budget by taxing the rich and making government more efficient. We did not balance this budget on the backs of working people and never will. Every year that follows will build on these principles: honest budgeting, fiscal discipline, transparent government, and an unwavering belief that working people deserve a government that delivers for them every day." You know, I get so suspicious when I hear people say working people or working families. You know, you're giving all these benefits to people who aren't working too. You're giving all these handouts to people who aren't working. Social Security isn't for working people. Medicare and Medicaid aren't necessarily for working. You get them whether you're working or not. Most of what we spend in social programs is not work dependent. Anyway, so not to get off on the aside there, but that was his tweet yesterday. But here's the truth. He didn't balance the budget by making government more efficient or raising new revenue in New York. He, air quote, balanced the budget by taking out an $8 billion taxpayer-funded loan from Albany. You understand? That's with a B. He borrowed $8 billion from the taxpayers of the state of New York. That means some poor bastard in Ithaca is having his taxes taken from him to fund the budget shortfall in New York City. The socialists now are grifting off the entire rest of the state, taking $8 billion from the rest of the citizens in a state that is overwhelmingly red, except for a couple of metro areas. You're taking money from Team Red to fund your silly programs for Team Blue that you can't afford on your own. Also, they moved pension payments. They're supposed to be prepaying in the pension system. They're going to pause that. And so now pensions are going to be underfunded. Oh, who does that hurt? That's right, the backs of working people. And we never will balance the budget on the backs of working people. You're missing their pension payments this year. That's going to hurt all the working people on the receiving end of those pension payments. Yeah, dang, that is dishonest. I mean, that is just straight up lying to your face. And then he does the Cheshire Cat grin. Dude, that is just evil stuff. Now, when he talks about we tax the rich, we didn't balance it on the back. We balanced the budget by taxing the rich. Okay, so he lifted a couple taxes, and one of them was the pied-à-terre tax, something I never heard of. But if you have a second residence and you're not from New York City, and this is like a second home, and you're an out-of-stater, you get like a big tax on that. Well, they just upped the revenue estimates from what that was going to be past what the math tells them to, and they're like, we're going to collect $500 million from this. And look, that's not what the regular economists were expecting. But let's say that's true. Let's say the fantasy number of revenue that he expects from his new taxes to come in. You have a $12 billion budget deficit. You're raising $5 million in new revenue. That is 1/24th of the budget. I mean, that is 1/24th of just the deficit, not the whole budget, just the deficit in the budget. And since 2015, the budget for New York City has almost doubled. Now, has the population of New York City almost doubled? Has the geographical territory that makes up New York City, has that doubled? Do they have twice as many cops or firemen or streets or anything? No, it's just out of control spending. They're doubling down on the bad spending. They are right now putting it on the backs of the other taxpayers in the rest of the red state of upstate New York, and then taking credit for it, saying, see, socialism works. Okay. Good luck on that one. But no, I mean, why do you have to lie that much? So all you people that gripe, Trump just lies all the time. Every time he goes out there, he lies. He lies about the reflecting pool, lies about the inauguration, lies about whatever. Okay, what about this guy? If you don't say anything about this guy, then your complaint about Trump lying all the time means absolutely zero. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. All right, coming up tonight. Tonight is the big night. We are having the America's Birthday Party. WBAP is teaming up with Dallas Express. We're going to go out to the Longhorn Ice House, and we're going to have a party starting at 6, but you don't have to get there at 6. I mean, I may not even be able to make it by 6. But I'm going to be out there. Rich O'Toole, he's a Red Dirt Texas country artist. He's going to do a set. As soon as the soccer game's over for the United States, we're playing Bosnia and Herzegovina. Sounds like we're playing two teams. It's just one. But we're playing Bosnia at 7. As soon as that game's over, we're going to fire it up, have some awesome country music. And the big guest of honor, Miss Parker, is going to be there. But you can bring your kiddos. I'm bringing my kiddos. It's absolutely free. Doesn't cost nothing. They've got great food. I crushed some wings on Monday, so they come with the gold star from the James Show. I would love to come out and meet you. Even if you just don't have time or you're an introvert and you just want to say hi and shake my hand, I would love that. So come on out. It's for the best cause ever. We're going to have a panel discussion as well where the people on stage are going to explain why they think America is the best country ever. So come on out. I'd love to meet you. I'm James Parker. This is The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Tonight, we're having a big party for America's 250th birthday. But elsewhere in the world, yesterday was Somalian Independence Day. Have we ever celebrated this before? I didn't know until today, or actually last night, when people were sharing pictures and whatnot. They had a big Somalia Independence Day parade and festival, and you'll never guess this, in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Big shocker there. But they had a Somali party in Columbus, Ohio. They took down the American flag and they put up the Somali flag at the city hall. I mean, I saw this online. I have a hard time believing all the stuff I'm seeing is true, because that sounds really wild and out there, but whatever. Here's some of the audio. This might bug you a little bit. This is in Minneapolis. These girls look like, you can tell by their voice, they look like they're 8, 10, maybe 12 at the most. But they're saying Somalia, best in the world. I mean, they're clearly the descendants of Somali immigrants. But yeah, do they have America's best interest at heart? Where does their loyalty lie?
Somalia is the best.
Hey, thank you. What do you want to say?
Somalia is the best. Somalia is the best thing in the world. We love Somalia. We don't care what you think about us. And I love Somalia, anything in the world. Donald Trump does not judge us.
Look, so this isn't a 9-year-old with her own independent streak going out there saying some things that her family would just find reprehensible. This is what they're taught. This is what this is what the conversation is in their house between their mom and their dad and their grandma and the second and third wife. I mean, who knows who all's in the household with people. But this is their parents speaking. You understand that? So these immigrants that are here, they don't love America. They're flying their own flag. And when they tell you their priority is Somalia over America, well, it makes it, you can understand why Nick Shirley could so easily just go bust all this fraud. They don't think taking money from America and giving it to Somalia is bad. That is good. The fraud is good from their point of view, because Somalia is their priority. Not America, not Minnesota, not Minneapolis, not you, not your traditions, not your history, not your nation, not your tax dollars for damn sure. So no wonder they vote Democrat. They hate America. Got it. But here's another one. This guy, his name's Phillipson. He says he used to work at a immigrant center in Massachusetts and everything was free. This is about 2 minutes, so stick with me here.
My name is John Featherston. I'm a former migrant shelter director in Massachusetts. I helped out in a couple different sites. Everything is free. I cannot stress the word everything is free. Everybody has a nice car. Most of them have nice cars. But when they have a doctor's appointment in Boston, or they have a immigration hearing in New Hampshire, which is an hour and a half away, you think they use their own car? Nope. They say, oh, I need an Uber. I need a Lyft.
How much is given for rides for Uber and Lyft?
The amount of money that we would spend on Ubers and Lyfts was well in excess of $100,000 a month.
A month?
A month, yeah. As good as Lyft and Uber had it, Amazon had it 10 times better.
And how's that? How did Amazon work into this?
Every day I would order tens of thousands of dollars worth of product from Amazon every single day, 7 days a week. One day I would do a huge diaper delivery. The next day I would do a formula delivery. The next day I would buy, toothbrushes and hair dryers and combs and strollers. And anything that they needed, they got.
Now, as I continued my way around the shelter, I noticed this school bus.
That is free daycare provided to the shelter.
Wow. Okay. So every day they take the kids to a daycare center?
No, they come there and provide daycare right on site there.
Oh, right on site.
It's mind-boggling, isn't it? As the hotel got overtaken by migrant families, there was not enough capacity and there were fights breaking out over washers and dryers. So the state contracted this company to come in 5 days a week and do everybody's laundry. You put your laundry out by 7 o'clock, it's back by 5 o'clock, and it all comes back folded in these nice bags, and it's free, or the taxpayers of Massachusetts pay for it. And, the media wants to make it sound like most of the residents are escaping, the horrors of Haiti. But they go, well, I was in Chile for 10 years after the earthquake in Haiti. And you're like, what? So you didn't leave Haiti like this year? No, I left 10 years ago and I went to Chile. And then they made us work. So then we went to Brazil, and we were content in Brazil. And then I'm like, well, why'd you come to America? Well, we came to America because Joe Biden told us everything was free.
What's the point of this? What's the point of taking money from you, bringing people over here that aren't even in a dangerous situation? They're not even legit asylum seekers. 10 years after an earthquake, they're in their third country. They're living fine. They have to work. And we're just bringing them in here for what? Like, even for the H-1B visa issues that we're having in Frisco, some of them are software developers. Some of them actually have jobs. Some of them are actually paying taxes. Some of them are actually paying for their own housing. But here, why are we bringing in people? And then we're putting them in hotel at your expense. So free housing, free transportation, free food, free daycare, free healthcare. Hell, they don't even have to do their own laundry. They have maid service. Do you have maid service? When you go out there and you're working 10 hours today and they're going to go back and they're going to take a third, if not 40% of your paycheck after it's all said and done, don't you still have to take care of your own laundry? Don't you still have to pay for your own housing and transportation and daycare and healthcare and food? And what is the point of bringing these people over here, if not to create an underclass of voters that are 100% wholly dependent on big government? 800-288-9227. Coming up next, I'll talk to a man that's trying to do something about it. State Rep Brian Harrison's trying to call for a special session to criminalize birthright tourism. I don't know if that'll work, but we'll find out next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. All right, so we have an immigration problem. We have a birthright citizenship problem. Supreme Court's not going to help us. What are we going to do? Well, let's ask my next guest, Brian Harrison. He's a state rep on the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. So, Brian Harrison, you're calling for a special session to address this. Thank you. Studio audience is happy to see you again. To what, criminalize birthright tourism? How's that going to work? All right, not to poop on your idea, but just to sort of go on the other side here. One thing I don't like about this is I like how the Texas legislature only meets once every 2 years, and it's supposed to be just for a few months, and we're not supposed to have this continual government popping up and doing new things. So that's kind of one thing I'm sort of against. I feel like this is more of a federal issue than a state issue. I like what you brought up about, who issues the birth certificates. But, even if we do criminalize it, how could we even enforce that? How do you enforce a law against someone who's doing something from China, or they come here, they have the baby? Do we slap cuffs on them? Like, how would this even be enforceable? Yes. Well, here's another. I promise I'm not just trying to crap all over your ideas here, but we do a special session. We go to Austin. We don't have half the legislature made up of people like Brian Harrison. It's going to be the same goobers who screwed us over in the last session without the property taxes, without the real school choice, without any of the tax cuts, stupid spending, money for Hollywood, money for rural broadband. Why should I have any optimism about getting these goobers back together again? Mm-hmm. Hey, Brian, can I hit pause on my Harrison remote and we'll continue this in about 5 minutes? All right, we'll continue with State Representative Brian Harrison, his ideas for calling a special session, but we do have a few more issues I want to discuss, including next, put on your raincoats. We're going to talk about data centers. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Come on out tonight as we're celebrating America's 250th birthday at the Longhorn Ice House. It starts at 6, goes till whenever you got to get home. I'll be there. We'll do a forum. Rich O'Toole is going to play a Texas country music set after the U.S. World Cup game. I would love to meet you. Miss Parker's going to be there. Also, Brian Harrison's not going to be there, but we're continuing with him in this segment. Just solving all. Well, it's also free, and you can bring the kids. But look, let's continue solving all the world's problems here, Brian. All right. Why aren't the Republicans, and I know this is not your job in Austin, but why aren't the Republicans in D.C. right now drafting and running through a birthright citizen amendment to the Constitution? I'm going to play you a cut from Greg Abbott, who was in my birth town this week, talking about data centers, and get your response to it.
Before I talk about property taxes, let me tell you about something else that I'm fighting for that dovetails right into fighting for East Texas values, and that is pushing back against these AI data centers that are trying to build in our neighborhoods.
Wait for it.
I've made clear already, any AI data center even thinking about coming here, they got to bring their own money, bring their own power, reuse their own water, and do it in a way that reduces the cost of electricity for residents across our state. Then two more things. We must prohibit them from building AI data centers in rural Texas neighborhoods, and we must eliminate the tax break they are getting that must be responsible for funding their own projects here in Texas. We will get that done.
Here's what I don't like about that. That sounds exactly like Bernie Sanders, AOC, and the Chinese Communist Party's position on data centers. Here's an example.
Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and I understand what is at stake. That is why today we are announcing legislation to impose a moratorium on the construction of new AI data centers on.
So they're in the same boat on this for the same reasons. Well, we're concerned about the electricity usage or the water usage or the environmental impact or the noise or the what's going on here? Your response, Brian Harrison? Well, what is your theory on the change in position of the governor? Because my question is, why does he suddenly care now? We have 621 data centers already built and operating in Texas. Somehow data centers 622 is going to break our electric grid and dry up our water aquifers and destroy our entire way of life. Do you have a theory on why he changed his tune? Yeah, I definitely don't know. And it just went like 100% the opposite. Because beforehand, I liked his status on data centers, except for the tax abatements. I liked that he wasn't concerned about the water or the electric grid or whatever, the noise. And now he's changed on all those. And the only thing I like about his current position on data centers is he's against the tax abatements. And he's worried about all the other stuff. So I can't win with this dude. I got to tell you, I'm going to say something really unpopular here, and you don't have to necessarily respond to it because I don't want to get you in trouble. I don't think I can vote for a Democrat or Republican as governor of Texas. I'm just going to have to find Libertarian or Founding Fathers Party or some independent or write in John Galt or something, Brian. Of course. Well, hopefully, State Rep Brian Harrison, maybe I'll see you tonight at America's 250th birthday party. If not, I bet you I see you at the Republican midterm convention September 9th and 10th. Thank you very much. That's State Rep Brian Harrison. Coming up next, we're going to talk about this GOP midterm convention because a lot of people are excited about it. I think they're having this because they're nervous. I'll explain myself next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. All right, WBAP and the Dallas Express is having a party tonight. The Republican Party is having a party September 9th and 10th, where I'm sitting right now. I'm James Parker. This is The James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. But it was rumored for a long time, finally announced and made somewhat official yesterday that we are going to have the first ever Republican Party midterm convention. And it's going to be at the American Airlines Center in Dallas, WFAA.
Looking ahead to September, a first-of-its-kind political convention is set to happen at the American Airlines Center in Dallas. President Donald Trump has announced that Republicans will hold a national convention ahead of the midterms. Both major parties traditionally hold similar conventions in presidential election years. The convention is set for September the 9th and the 10th.
All right, I find this exhausting. This isn't going to be a one-time thing. The Democrats are going to start doing it too. We're going to do it in the next midterms, and both parties are going to just do this. We're going to have giant conventions every 2 years. I don't think this is good. I think our allegiance to our parties has caused the entire government to move in ways that it wouldn't if we were a little more divorced from our political parties. And this is a condemning of both Team Red and Team Blue. Now, I'm probably not talking about you. Most of the people who listen to WBAP are not the sycophants. But some people they're Republican or they're a Democrat. That's part of who they are. And whatever the issue of the day is, they just say whatever they see the other Republicans and Democrats saying, and they don't think for themselves. And this hyperbole where we've divided the country in half and one side is completely and constantly demonizing the other side and vice versa. Neither side's innocent in this. Now, all we've done is turn the voting process isn't what are we going to vote for, it's what are we going to vote against. And if you are always voting against something, you are never going to get what you want. You may be able to avoid things you don't want, but the more tribal we get, the harder it is. I've got Republicans right now questioning data centers. I don't know where this came from. I don't know why that they are all of a sudden saying the same thing that the Chinese Communist Party wants, what Bernie Sanders wants, what AOC wants. But now the governor of Texas is saying similar things. And that just gives a pass for people to turn their brains off. Like, data centers bad? I heard data centers are bad. I guess they're bad. But the part where this really just kicks us all right in the stomach is this why we don't care about a balanced budget. This is why we don't care about forever wars. You're not ever voting for a balanced budget. You don't even require your Republican candidates to even give lip service to a balanced budget. You just want them to not be Democrats. Okay, hating America is bad. Loving America, but still ascribing to the wrong policies isn't much better. And it also makes me feel like, why now? Why all of a sudden now do we need to have a midterm election or a midterm convention? And why do we need to have it in Texas? Gee, let's think about that. The Senate is split 50-50, and every 2 years, 1/3 of the senators are up for re-election. Most of them are in completely safe either red or blue states. There is one state, though, that kind of has a question mark over it, and I think they're just trying to shore up Ken Paxton against Tallarico. Not that they're necessarily pro-Ken Paxton. They're just pro-Republican Party. And so this kind of tells me that maybe the Republicans are nervous about maybe Tallarico surprising them in November. That's what I think. What are y'all worried about, that we need to have another convention? It's going to be fun. It's going to be right here. I'm going to get the broadcast from it for that Wednesday and Thursday. We're probably going to get to meet some people and have them on the show, and it'll be cool. But I don't know. I'm not that excited about it. Then again, I don't really consider myself a Republican. And this whole allegiance where we center our political policies and worldview around our parties is a big, big problem. Because what if neither party wants to balance the budget? And why do I focus on that? Because that aspect, although it's not sexy, it doesn't get everyone emotional like an abortion or a race war. But this is the one that affects you the most. In the last 6 years, since 2020, since we started all that dumb money printing during COVID, we've all gotten 25% inflation. And I usually couch that as a pay cut. Like if you were making $100,000 a year in 2020 and you're still making $100,000, you're only buying $75,000 worth of stuff with that $100,000. But it's even worse than that. For those of you who are doing the right thing and saving money, for those of you who are putting money in an IRA and trying to save for your own retirement so you don't have to live off Social Security or be a loser or go live in your kid's garage apartment. If you had $1 million saved, you only get to buy $750,000 worth of stuff with it. And you're like, oh, let's be sad for the millionaires. No, you need to be sad because some guy who was just a plumbing contractor or just a regular dude who sacrificed, who didn't get a new car, who didn't live in the country club, who didn't go on expensive vacations. He did the right thing. He sacrificed. All these sacrifices are now stolen from him. $250,000 was stolen out of his IRA because of this no caring about the budget issue. Democrats are letting you down. Republicans are letting you down. And I think that's the real threat for democracy is there's nowhere you can go and vote for somebody that will balance the budget. Big government wins no matter which party you vote for. And I think that's the bigger problem. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. GOP's having a midterm convention. It's going to be September 9th and 10th. That is a Wednesday and Thursday, and it's going to be in the building next to where I'm at right now, the big old American Airlines Center. And a lot of Republicans are celebrating this. I think it makes you look nervous. I am going to withhold final judgment because I think the Democrats might try to do it too. Because if the Democrats see what we're doing here is going to move the polls any, they'd be crazy not to. So I think we just might have slipped into a new world paradigm where we have to put up with these big conventions every 2 years now instead of every 4. And then it'll probably end up going to the odd years too. So we're just going to have a big convention every year. Why? Because that's what's best for the Republican Party. That's what's best for the Democrat Party. But I don't think that's what's best for America. I don't think that's what's best for you or your kids or your grandkids. I think the uniparty system is something that makes me want to bang my head against the wall because I have to watch two people in two parties that agree on 95% of things, and they accuse the other side of being absolute monsters over the 5% they disagree with. And I'm over here disagreeing with both of you on more than half of the issues, and I don't have a party to represent me. And that's really, if I sound like a little butthurt about this, it's because I am. I don't have anybody representing me. If I had my druthers and I had like the James Party, or the Parker Party actually kind of has a nice alliteration to it. The Parker Party would have already drafted an amendment to the Constitution ending birthright citizenship. After the Supreme Court decision that happened earlier this week, before the day was over, I would have had that thing drafted. And it takes like 30 seconds to type it out? Here, amendment number, what are we on now? 28, 29? Amendment number 28, no more birthright citizenship. And that's it. We pass it, we get it ratified, or we attempt to pass it. We find out what monsters are against this very common sense change in our statecraft, and we run them all out of office, and we keep replacing them until we get sensible people in there. It's the same thing with everything else I want to do. Balancing the budget. Democrats nor Republicans, they don't care about that. Forever wars, Democrats nor Republicans, they're going to find someone to bomb over the next 4 years. That's guaranteed. So in all of these situations where I've been totally disappointed by both parties, pardon me if I don't get excited about a midterm convention. RL in Weatherford, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP.
Breathe, brother, breathe.
Thank you.
I mean, the other day you got wound up at the guy that, well, go into that, but now you're wound up again. I don't understand. I really don't, because libertarians are supposed to be the easygoing, anything goes, whatever it takes, whatever this, whatever that. You have anybody representing you. But we got more libertarians in this society right now than we have ever had, and they just don't know they're libertarians. They're calling themselves Republicans. I'm not a Republican, Democrat, or a libertarian. I'm a constitutional conservative, and you just touched on something that makes me proud of you. Birthright citizenship, I call BS on that all day long. That's not what the Constitution says. But what I don't understand, James, is that you get. There are several aspects to a libertarian that I cannot go down that road.
Well, then don't go down that road, because there's a faction of the Libertarian Party that is open borders, and then there's people like who right now is speaking out against the birthright citizenship stuff. It's Mike Lee, it's Rand Paul, it's people like me, the libertarian liberty wing of the Republicans. So look, I don't agree with.
I love Rand Paul, but Mike Lee is bought and sold for too. But Rand Paul's not. There's only 2 or 3 of them that aren't bought and sold for. But no, the number one thing, and you're not going to like this, and a lot of people out there aren't going to like this, and I'm not going to cuss or nothing. 1973, the beginning of this country was dying, and it'll never be repaired until that's done, until it's over. 1973. If you believe in God, you understand that abortion is genocide, and we're griping about genocide all over. No, wait. We're griping about genocide all over the world. But we're doing it by tens of millions in this country every year and calling it women's rights. And until we fix it, this country's dead. I mean, that's just all there is.
This country's dead?
Yeah, we cannot survive as a society No, we've been surviving for 50 years. I get it. But I'm talking about long term. We can't survive with that kind of thing.
Why not?
We can't. Why not?
Listen, I'm not pro-abortion, but out of the things that ail the common citizen in America, that's like 48th on the list.
No, and no, actually, really, it's the small. Okay, so I live in Weatherford, and we've got a serious growth problem right now, and we got these little punks running around, these little crotch rockets, and they're raising hell. And then we got some other guys, some other punk kids that are coming from California, replacing their parents by them.
Hey, we're getting sidetracked on abortion, and I don't want to do that.
No, okay, that's fine. But what I'm saying is, the law enforcement here says, well, we can't do this, we can't do that, we don't want to do this, we don't want to do that. The problems all start small. They're granular. And when you start avoiding and you stop enforcing laws.
So it's okay, but listen, you're talking about you just admitted it's small and granular. We have a $2 trillion deficit. We have stolen 25% of everybody's savings in the last 6 years. That affects anybody who has any money in the bank. That affects anybody who's still getting a paycheck. That affects all of us. And the abortion thing just doesn't. I wish it would go away. I wish it didn't happen. I wish we would reduce it. But one of the things that I like to point out to my friends who are so concerned about abortion and getting rid of Roe v. Wade, and we've got to stop this. Ever since 1973, we've been on a downward hill, and we got to get rid of Roe v. Wade so we can stop abortion. Well, since we've repealed Roe v. Wade, we've actually had more abortions than before on a yearly basis. So if you want to minimize abortions, which I think you do, I do, repealing Roe v. Wade had the opposite effect. So maybe it's not the greatest policy. Joe in Grapevine, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP.
James, honor and privilege. I appreciate your libertarian stance. Consider myself a considered libertarian. And the reason I stand with Republicans as I have is because most of the things I believe in, and you too, and I've heard you, James, I listen to you every day. I'm a big fan of you. You side with Republicans more than you do Democrats. All you need to do is just list all the things they do. But right now, it's obvious, historic. Each midterm, what happens? It turns over. Right now, with all the things that President Trump has accomplished, we don't need to stop it. We need to keep this train going. We need to create excitement. Just because it's in Texas, I don't look at it like that. It could be in any state. But what it's going to do is going to create a nationwide excitement and involvement. And we have a lot of new voters and Democrats that have come to our side that are through with this socialist crap. We need to keep this excitement going and create it again and expose and remind everybody what they're doing. And now the Democrats are acting like all of a sudden they're concerned about the economy. Oh, they're concerned about children. They're concerned about certain other countries and stuff when they weren't concerned about it before. The thing we need to do right now, James, is let's get through the midterms. We don't need things to turn over because what are they going to do? They're going to do nothing but impeach. What good does that get us? We need to stand together.
Okay, but Joe,
you stand together.
If you want to get me excited, at least make an attempt to balance the budget. You realize what the federal budget this year, $8.5 trillion. We are almost up to what we spent in the biggest stimulus package during the COVID years, which that in 2020, we spent $9.0 trillion. So we're almost up to the breakneck emergency $1 trillion stimulus packages under COVID. It's worse. It's worse than it was under Biden.
Were we not left with a mess, James? He is trying to fix this. Look at all the fraud and abuse that he is.
Yes, and I know. We were left with a mess. We were left with a budget that was $7.7 trillion. It's now up to $8.5 trillion. Doge may have made some cuts here and there, but we still increased spending more than Doge cut. So government has grown under Democrats and under Republicans every administration of my entire life, and I'm tired of it. And don't ask for my vote unless you're going to do something about that. And I thank you for being so nice, Joe. I'm just in a bad mood. I apologize. I don't want to take it out on you. It's just you're hearing decades of frustration. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Well, we are going to be celebrating America's birthday tonight. I'm James Parker. It's the James Show. News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Your home for the WBAP Morning Show. Check out Hal J and the crew every morning. But tonight we're going to go out to the Longhorn Ice House. We're going to partner with the Dallas Express. We're going to have a party where you can bring your kids. We're going to hear some good Texas country music. And we're going to have a little discussion here on, I don't even think it's the discussion or even up for debate that this is the best country in the history of the world. I think we're just dealing with the nuances of who can give the best explanation or add more to the pile on why this is the best country in the world. Let me show you some Lakota. Earlier this week was the battle of the anniversary of the Battle of Little Bighorn, where the Indians beat the American Army. I believe that was the Custer Battle. Isn't that right? Little Bighorn, Custer. And so the Lakota out on their reservation in the Dakotas, Dakota, that's funny. They were celebrating this victory, even though they ended up losing the war. They had American flag on the ground and they were taking turns stomping on it and dancing on it and hooping and hollering and whatnot. And it's... Yeah, well, certainly put me in my place, didn't we? Well, I feel really diminished there. You know why we're a great country? Because we allow that to happen, right? They don't allow that. If that was in Russia, they'd be in a gulag already. So Lakota dancing on the American flag because they won in battle. Good job, guys. Good job. Does everybody just hate this country because we're awesome? Because there's no real gripe unless you're maybe these Middle Eastern countries and you lost a relative in a drone strike or something to that effect. But for the Lakota dancing on the American flag, aren't you just proving how civilized we are? Aren't you just, because we're not dancing on the Lakota flag and we're the ones who won the war. We should be rubbing it in your face. But the fact that so many people like hate Tom Brady I think is a sign of how awesome Tom Brady is, because there's a lot of people out there that are driven. The fuel in their internal combustion engine is envy. And it's the same thing that is pushing all these Democrat socialists. These Democrat socialists that are getting elected all over the place, they are running on envy. They are running on, oh, look, somebody else has more than you do, and that's not fair. But I think they're playing at this real ugly part of the human experience that's in all of us a little bit. You know, we all get a little envious, or we have before. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. But if you have the worldview that everybody is equal, everybody has the exact same capacity for success or failure, we're all just 100% blank slates equal, but some people are more successful than others, well, you would just assume that, well, they must have cheated. But I also think on the individual level, it puts these people in a weird position to where you hate Elon Musk for being a billionaire and then a trillionaire. Not because he did anything wrong. It's because it's a constant reminder of what a failure your life is. And I don't mean you. I mean the hypothetical person we're talking about here. And this is why they poop on America so much. This is why there's so much antipathy toward America. Just the reason there was so much antipathy toward the New England Patriots for 20 years. Because if you're a Cleveland Browns fan, you didn't hate New England because your team was better and their team was awful. You hated New England because it was a constant, everyday reminder of how bad the Browns are. And so if you're the Lakota, America's existence in this same geography sent people to the moon where they didn't even invent the wheel. So yeah, you can go out on your reservation, you can put on your deerskin pants, and you can stomp on our flag, and you can hoop and holler with your primitive Stone Age instruments and your terrible music development, because you don't have a culture much. You didn't have a written language, didn't have horses, you didn't have a whole lot going on. That doesn't make you bad people. You're fine, you're great. Enjoy America. I'm glad you're here. I hope you pursue all the opportunities, and I hope you get rich and have a great life. I hope you have a lot of kids and they're all happy. But don't act like America's awful. Don't act like America's the bad guy or evil or we suck or it's jealousy. And I love that. I live off that jealousy. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. All right, coming up next on the James Show, we're going to answer the question, what percentage of births last year in America were to foreigners? I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. How many births in America were to foreigners last year? I'm James Parker, News Talk 820 93.3 FM, WBAP. I saw Will Kane yesterday bring this up. Wanted to play it for you.
In 2023, 320,000 babies, that's 9% of all U.S. births, were born to mothers who were here illegally or on temporary visas. And that number grew during the Biden administration.
All right, let's talk about this, because we have the highest number of foreign-born residents in the United States ever. Now, maybe not as a percentage, and it's kind of hard to tell because if you go back and you look at the early census in like 1800 or whatever, yeah, of course, a lot of them are going to be foreign-born because the United States didn't even exist yet. But even when you talk about the giant waves of immigration that we had during the Ellis Island years from like the 1880s to the middle of the 1920s when they cut all that off, there was, I think, 27 million immigrants came in. And you're saying, well, what's different about that besides having all these other immigrants come in now? Well, a few things. Number one is those immigrants that came in were coming from Western civilization. They were coming almost exclusively from Western and Southern Europe, who were already Christian, who were already culturally acclimated to the Enlightenment ideals that our founding fathers cited when they made this country. They may not have quite got the language just yet, but assimilation was the goal. America was celebrated, and coming here was still an arduous thing. Now, they didn't come here illegally. They still came here legally. But if you came from Sicily in 1890, that was an expensive boat ride, and it took a long time. And you were coming here with the expectation that you're not going to be sending money back home. And this isn't a temporary thing where you're going to come loot this place for all it's worth and then go back from whence you came. That you were leaving and coming here to be a part of America. Now, is the current crop of immigrants doing that? Well, they're not a monolithic block, so some of them are, but some of them aren't. Some of them have already been here for 25 years, and they're having kids that are American citizens. Then in Minneapolis, on Somali Independence Day this week, someone stuck a camera or their phone in front of 4 little girls in Minneapolis, and they were saying Somalia is the best in the world.
Somalia is the best.
Hey, thank you. What do you want to say?
Somalia is the best. Somalia is the best thing in the world. We love Somalia. We don't care what you think about us. And I love Somalia, anything in the world. Donald Trump does not judge us.
You know what? My response to that, you're nice little girls and stuff, but I would like to have a chat with your parents, and it'll be a short one.
Get the out!
Get out! If Somalia is so great, why are you here? If America's so bad, why are you here? You know why they're here. They're here to loot you. They're here to loot your family. They are here to loot the taxpayer treasury. They're going to send as much back to Somalia as they possibly can. They don't love you. They don't love your country. They don't love your culture. They don't love your history. They don't love your founding fathers. They don't love your religion. So that's another big difference. On top of all that, when they were coming here during the Ellis Island days, there wasn't a Leering Center program to be exploited. There wasn't food stamps to be exploited. There weren't the immigrant centers where they're going to put you up in a nice 5-star hotel and they're going to do your laundry for you, and they're going to give you free daycare, and they're going to give you free transportation. They're going to give you free education. They're going to give you free health care. That's the difference. Huge difference. And now we have 9% of our births in the last year we've measured it were to foreigners. We cannot survive this forever. We can put a stop to it. We can recover, or we can continue the downward spiral. That is our two options. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, we're going to have a little bit of fun with comedians and talk about the big party that's happening tonight that you're invited to. Details coming up on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. You know, I wish you got to be a radio host for one day. I wish. I'm James Parker. It's the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. The fun part is what's happening behind the scenes here with the messages. I go on break and I check the messages, and there will be consecutive messages. James, I really appreciate your passion on this important issue. Inflation is absolutely killing me these days. And the next person will be like, you need to calm down. You sound like you're in a bad mood. Like, well, I'm passionate about a very serious issue. I'm sorry. Look, let's just say, and this isn't the number. This isn't the number, but let's just say I have $100,000 in my IRA. I've been saving in 401k and I rolled it over from whenever I get let go or whatever, and it's piled up to $100,000. I think anyone has a right to be very upset about the fact that that'll only buy $75,000 now. You've been robbed of $25,000. Everyone, you have been robbed of 25% of all of your savings in the bank. If you don't get upset about that, then you're just a cuck, in my opinion. Geez, can we exploit you harder? Why don't you give me some of your money then? If you don't care if it just gets burnt, give me some. But no, I get it. Look, and I'll be in a better mood at the party tonight for sure. I didn't even think I was in a bad mood. I think maybe I'm just passionate about getting robbed. But there is such thing as the other side. There is such thing as people who just, I'm just happy-go-lucky, whatever, inflation's going to happen. Just let them rob me. And then there's the pedal to the metal, partying too hard. And I'm looking at you, Mexicans. I have a World Cup tourist. He looks like an Asian fella, but he has an American accent. He went down to Mexico to watch one of the games down there because, they're also hosting the World Cup with the U.S. and Canada this year. And he was not expecting this. I guess he's never hung out with Mexicans before, but this has been my experience as well. Miss Parker, she has Mexicans in her family, and we when we go visit them in Mexico. We went to her cousin's wedding in Merida in the Yucatan, and we left I think at 5:30 in the morning. 5:30 in the morning. They were just drinking and dancing, and they had a meal planned. We got Cochinitas at 3 in the morning. The caterer had on the schedule some middle of the night meal. I don't even know what it's called. It's somewhere between dinner and breakfast. So yeah, I've seen this happen. But this guy was caught totally off guard. And if you've never partied with just straight up real Mexicans, I don't mean the brown people from San Antonio. I mean for real in Mexico Mexicans. It's a beating, bro.
Mexico, you need to stop. Because tell me, how can you party every single day? I've been in Mexico for the World Cup, and you guys party every single day. But you make everybody party with you. You force people to party. I've been forced to bailar. I've been forced to tomar. I've even been forced to volar. I cannot lar anymore. How are there even old people in Mexico? How can you live this long and party this hard?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Yeah, if you're not ready for it. Because the beating that I think most of us aren't ready for is when you go down there and you go out with your friends and y'all get hammered and you're like, I can hang. That's no big deal. Yeah, I'll take a tequila shot of 1800 at 2 a.m., whatever. And then the next day you're just wildly hungover. And they are too. And then they hand you a beer. And you're like, oh my God, I guess we got to do this all over again. I don't want him to think I'm weak. I don't want him to think I'm a weenie. And so you just got to keep up. Just your manly pride force you to keep up. Yes, Mexicans, give yourself a round of applause. I think I'm a hard partier. I have been out partied before. And it was you people. But we're going to have a party tonight, a decidedly American party. It's for America's 250th birthday. It's going to be at Longhorn Ice House. Rich O'Toole's going to be out there. He's a Texas country artist. He had a song called American Kid about 15 years ago. And, a nice patriotic guy. Perfect for our party here. So we're going to show up. I mean, I've got to do some stuff after the show, and I'll probably get there around 6 or so. We're going to hang out. We're going to talk about why America is the greatest country in the history of ever. There's going to be a soccer game. We are blessed that the United States World Cup knockout game happens to be during our party. And as soon as the game's over, as soon as we beat Bosnia, then Rich O'Toole's going to get up there and we'll get some country music. And I don't know, I might have to two-step with Miss Parker a little bit, but it'll be a good time. So come on out. Here's the good news. This is the best part. Absolutely free. Yay, because we're all cheap, right? But that's thanks to our sponsors. So if you go out there and you see the sponsors in their little special VIP booth or whatever, just go tell them thank you for making this free, because it's free for you, it's free for your spouse, it's free for all your kiddos. If you get a VIP ticket, which I think we literally have one left, then there will be a free food spread in the VIP area. But for the rest of us, buy off the menu. They have great food there. I absolutely crushed some wings. They had hot wings. The sauce I got that I would recommend, mango habanero. It's a great combo, but that's a good one. So come on out. It'd be so good to meet you. It'd be so good to like put a face to a name. And if you've called the show, there's decent chance that I remember talking to you. I don't remember everybody that calls, but I surprise myself with how many of these people I remember. So come on out. Your phone knows where it's at. It's centrally located geographically here in DFW. It's at the Longhorn Ice House, Northwest Highway, over by the Lodge. And you probably know where that's at, Sinners. But yeah, come on out. Hang out. It'll be a good time. And it's for the best cause possible, America's 250th birthday party. And if you're not convinced, I think I'm going to get on stage and try and convince you that America is the best country ever. I don't think you're going to need a whole lot of convincing. But also, I would like to reiterate, this isn't a political rally. This isn't a political themed event. This is an American themed event. And don't feel uncomfortable just because you're on Team Blue or because you're not politically aligned with WBAP, or hell, if you think we're the political opposition. You're welcome to come out too. In fact, I would love to meet you. I love reaching across the aisle. I love meeting my liberal listeners. And you're not going to be spat on. No one's going to shame you. No one's going to, I don't think we're going to do any Bible reading, so you don't have to worry about, Jesus showing up or anything. But whoever you are, wherever you're from, if you're an illegal immigrant, if you're a registered Democrat, if you're on the Dallas City Council, if you're an Antifa, come on out. We'd love to have you. Starts at 6, goes till whenever, but it's for the best of causes. WBAP and Dallas Express are throwing the big birthday party for America tonight, and I hope I see you there. All right, stick around. Mark Levin's coming up next. I'm James Parker. This has been The James Show on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.